Alright guys, for the assignment today, I want you to practice using remove.bg and Photopea to edit some of your pictures to make your spread look better. So on here I have our dance folder from our yearbook spread, and let's say I like this picture. So I'm going to download it to my computer. Shows up down here in my downloads folder. Then we're going to use the website called remove.bg. BG stands for background. In here, it is an easy way for you to pick a picture. It will decide what the focal image is, and it will remove everything else from the site. So, when I do this, I get the dancers themselves without all the extra background stuff. Now, of course, it does some weird things, like it cut off half her body, and you can't really see most of that person. So you can choose Edit, and then go to Edit, or Erase and Restore. And right now I'm on Erase. So I can get this extra stuff out of here. And I don't think I want any of this person because it looks a little strange. So I'm going to erase all this. Erase this half a person here. Now when I get around her hand, it's too small for me to keep using this large eraser. So I can move the brush size down. Go around her hand. Get a little closer. Mallory's got some extra stuff on her head. I think that's someone else's face. So we're going to erase that because it's kind of creepy. Same thing right here. Okay, now I think that looks okay. Since I like this, I'm going to then hit download. And then download image. It comes down here into my downloads folder, but you'll be able to notice which one's the right one because when I go to downloads, it says remove BG in the name now, right? So I can open it and see what it looks like. There's still some edges here that aren't quite good enough to put in the book. So then I can come back to here and go to YBphotopea.com. And then I'm going to open a new project from my computer, and I'm going to get that remove BG one. So now I've got my picture, right? I'm going to make it a little bigger so it takes up my whole screen. Then I can grab my eraser in here, and here's how I change the size of it so I can get a heck of a lot closer. I'm going to zoom this in. So now I can go pixel by pixel to change this around to make sure that I have smooth lines everywhere. I don't have extra faces. Get rid of all those extra colors to make it look more smooth. Okay? Then I'm going to shrink it back down a little bit. Alright, so I like the way this one looks better. Now I would like to put these three people a little closer together. So I'm on one layer right now. I can take my selection tool over here and I can pick one person at a time. I don't want to cut off her hand, so I'm going to Control-C, Control-V her, go back to my original layer, I'm going to grab her, Control-C to copy, go to layer 1 to paste. Oh, it moved it all together. That's alright. And then I'll come over here, and I'm going to grab her. So now I have the three girls on each separate layer. I can delete my background, and it doesn't look like it changed, but it really did. Okay, so now I go back here. I can move her closer. I can go to layer 1. I can move her closer. Maybe on this one I want to move her up a little bit so it looks like they're standing not quite next to each other. And then I say File, Export as PNG. We want it to be a PNG because that will leave the background blank instead of it being a white background. So I'll hit Save, that also went into my downloads folder. But then I can go into my spread go down to my dance page, and right now they have lots of individual pictures, but there's too many of what I think is the same thing. So I'm going to upload that one that I just created in Photopea. Move that to my dance folder. And then put that on my page. So they came in kind of tiny. I can make them bigger. And maybe they become a background or something. Or maybe I get rid of a couple of one of these other ones. But it makes for a more visually appealing page because it breaks up the monotony so that not all of these pictures look the same anymore. So like I get rid of these background pictures, and now I've got 3 dancers in the middle of the page without all the extra background stuff. So your job today is to use YBphotopea and Photopea to create a visually pleasing picture to put on your spread. Now if you're going to use a cutout, you can stop watching the video. Other options, if we do a new one, let's say I bring that original picture back in. That didn't work well, did it? Always want to change this. And I always go bigger rather than smaller. Makes it easier to shrink it. It doesn't get blurry that way. So I've got my picture here. You can do things like filter it to make it look a little more interesting. Or if it's a little blurry, you can sharpen it. Or let's say maybe I put an adjustment layer on there and I turn the picture black and white. Or if you want to be really neat about it, you can select, let's say we select Mallory, we make a copy of her. We go back to layer 1 and I tell that layer to be black and white, but then Mallory stays in color because she's the only one that I made a copy of before I turn the rest black and white. It would help to cut her out first, like we did with YBphotopea, so that all this other stuff around it isn't in color. But if you do something like this, it's going to make the picture look really striking, where you can keep everything else so that you have context, but you can keep that one person in focus. You can also take that same layer, and instead of sharpening it, we can tell it to blur. And it'll blur everyone else except for her. So your choice, do something to one of your pictures to make it more visually appealing. That picture, like this one, would be what I take a snip of to turn in for attendance today.